And welcome to Ridgecrest Talk, your host Paul Vanderwerf. Tonight we're talking with Jake Rudnick back from, I guess, the Onyx Farm or the Onyx Ranch. What do you call that, Jake?
My company is Onyx Family Farms.
And Onyx Family Farms. I was close. And for those of you like me, I was just the 4th of July. I was over in Las Vegas, 108 degrees. And the only thing I could think of was get out of that heat. And here in Ridgecrest, we got plenty of heat also. But it's about the quickest getaway you can do is to get out of that heat, is shoot up into the mountains there, the Kern Valley, and get to see some nice scenic area as well as produce and animals. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing there, what's going on in that area now?
Yeah, people from Ridgecrest love to come up to the Kern River Valley to go in the river or go in the lake and fish, cool off a little bit, and then on their way home or their way to, they stop in at the Onyx Family Farms Farmers Market. And we have a lot of trees, a lot of shade, and we have a pond with some running water, so it's very cool, or at least cooler when it's 105 up there. And you can buy yourself a watermelon, a cantaloupe, a pineapple, lemons, all that fresh fruit that you can make a salad with. And if you got kids, you can also see the baby goslings. We have 5 little baby geese, and we have a big 75-pound sulcata tortoise. We have baby goats, we have a sheep, we have 2 black ponies. So there's a lot for the kids to see too.
Right, and I remember taking my 9-year-old up there the first time. Her eyes just got big, and she was like, wow, because being in the city or in a small town, especially out here in the desert, you just don't see that rural agricultural location like what you have there. And for those who you don't remember how to get up there, it's basically 178 West, which has the jog through Inyo Kern onto the 14 South and then up through Walker Pass. And just as you're coming to kind of a landmark, the Onyx store, you have that big, what is that, a yellow sign?
Yeah, big yellow sign.
That says Onyx Farmers Market, and you just turn off on Doyle Ranch Road, swing off to the right. It doesn't look like you're going anywhere, but before you know it, it's right there on the right. And it's a nice little drive. It's close enough people could drive up there just for a getaway for the day, or like you said, it could be on the way up to Kernville, Lake Isabella, or even to the Lower Canyon coming down through to Bakersfield, which is all kinds of day trips for people who just want to get out and away but don't want to drive all the way down to LA, San Diego, or some of those longer trips. Yeah. Now, one of the things that I'd seen, and I don't know if we talked about it too much, is you were doing something like a consumer-supported ag model with chickens, where you had gone out to the customers first and said, hey, I need people to help support the cost of raising these chickens so that I can provide you the eggs. Now, last time we talked, that was just something that was kind of in the thought process. What is going on with that now?
Yeah, I threw that out to the community, and the community responded in kind. Several customers from Ridgecrest also paid on PayPal, and just about 3 days ago, the chickens started laying eggs.
So they paid the money up front how long ago? 6 months ago?
6 months ago, yeah, in February.
And so they were going on faith that you're going to be able to have these chickens raised, and now you're just getting to the point now where you're going to start being able to deliver these eggs.
Right.
And you're doing that, what, once a month or once a week?
It's supposed to be once a week, yeah.
Okay, so we'll just see how that comes out, but it's kind of coming to fruition. Those people who invested in you are now going to either get a real solid return, or if you don't have as good of a, I don't know what we call it, a crop, but a production on your eggs, then they may not get quite as much. And so that's kind of a shift a little bit, instead of going to the store and just buying your regular eggs. But these aren't just regular eggs, right? How are your chickens raised?
No, these the conventional chickens with the white eggs, they live in little boxes and don't touch the ground. Mine touch the ground all the time, and they have hundreds of square feet to run around. They gladly fly over the fence and walk through my front yard and peck for bugs and dirt and all that stuff. They eat all the vegetable scraps that we throw in as we're cleaning onions, or we're throwing away bad tomatoes, so they get those. And then now that they're starting to lay eggs, we'll feed them non-GMO feed.
Right, so it's really a more wholesome option, and it's really close to. And now, do you expect those people from Ridgecrest to come up to get their eggs, or do you bring those down?
No, the agreement is that people in Ridgecrest will be able to pick them up in Ridgecrest wherever I end up with the farmer's market.
Okay, so you're looking at bringing a farmer's market, some type of fresh vegetables and fresh fruit to the Ridgecrest area, which we haven't had for a few years now.
Yeah, several months ago, I think maybe only 2 or 3, I started a Facebook site called Ridgecrest Farmers Market. And within 2 days, we had over 1,000 people like the page. And right now, due to some technical issues, we're a little bit delayed. So it's looking like the grand opening will be towards the end of July. And it may be just my produce to start until I have enough money for the permits to include other vendors. But at the moment, it's supposed to be at the corner of Balsam and Ridgecrest Boulevard where the Shaved Ice Shack is.
All right, so Balsam and Ridgecrest Boulevard is kind of good timing because that's the area that we just had our streets redone. And
yeah, it's a beautiful
took quite a
place. The
while.
streets are wide, and it's going to be every Tuesday evening from 5:30 to 8:30.
All right, and so that's something new that I'm hearing here is it's going to be on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah, there's studies that show that in cities, Tuesday and Wednesday evening markets are great markets. You know, people from the city, like people from Ridgecrest, want to get out into the country, go have fun, and then they want to come back, and by Tuesday evening, they need to start shopping for the week.
Right, Monday and Tuesday, you're going to go out and shop for whatever it is you need to get through the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And so I think before I was hearing it might be on a Saturday, and so now we're looking at a Tuesday. I actually think that's a good idea to switch that to a Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday evenings, everybody will be back in town. It's after school hours. It's towards the evening, so it's a little bit cooler, not so sunny. The Shaved Ice Shack is there for refreshments. And I'm also taking any local musicians that want to give me their phone number and come play for tips. And I'll always give them a good supply of vegetables and fruits to go home with as a thank you.
Wow, you get paid with fresh vegetables. I might start learning some music just so I can get fed that way. That's not a bad deal.
Yeah, well, if we have too many takers, we might have to have auditions.
Or they might be throwing tomatoes. I might have to just be better at catching than I am at playing. But yeah, that sounds great. And that's typically what you think of as a farmer's market. Yes, there is food, but there's also kind of this ambiance or this feeling that comes around with a small town where people can come out and talk and see people you haven't seen for a few months and kind of talk about the local politics. And speaking of politics, we're going to talk about a little bit because we have a chicken ordinance that's going around right now, but we're going to go to a break first. And so we're with Ridgecrest talking with Jake Rudnick up from Onyx Family Farms in the Onyx area, and we'll be right back after this. And welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk. Your host, Paul Vender. We're talking chickens and eggs and all kinds of produce with Jake Rudnick from Onyx Family Farm. And one of the things we're talking about is bringing eggs pretty much right away, right into Ridgecrest for people that have kind of bought into a project that you started a little less than a year ago. But one of the things we're dealing with locally is a little bit of a debate and the city looking at how to manage and regulate chickens in the backyard. And so I think some of the properties are allowed to have them depending on the zoning, and some of them are having some chickens without actually the authority to. And so the city's, I think, looking at it going, well, you know, how are we going to deal with this? Some people are like, no chickens. And other people are like, hey, you know, I already have them, and you don't even know it. So what is your take on that? Is that something that's reasonable? Is a community like Ridgecrest going to be able to support chickens?
Well, this is America, the land of the free. And there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to have some amount of chickens in your own house or in your own backyard. There's a lot of cities along the coast that have already dealt with this issue years ago. So I lived in San Diego for several years, and they have their ordinances which allow hens, I think up to 6, and so many ducks, but no rooster that makes the noise.
Right.
And aside from that, as long as they're healthy and in a clean environment and you have water and food, then there's no problem.
Right. And I think part of that's education. If you educate the neighbor and as well as you educate the chicken owner, you know, because sometimes people don't have the experience and they make all those mistakes as they're learning. But if you educate everybody, then it's going to be a healthier solution. And speaking of education, we're talking about getting this healthy food out into our communities. Currently in Onyx, planning on being in Ridgecrest, hopefully by the end of the month. We're talking about that location on Balsam and Ridgecrest. where the Shave Ice hut has kind of been set up there for a while. You also have some plans for some things going on in Kernville. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I'm going to start a farmer's market in Kernville on the 18th of July, in 2 Saturdays from now. And it's going to be in downtown Kernville, most likely on the property of the Big Blue Bear coffee shop. And so if you come up as a tourist from Ridgecrest, you can go see all the shops and get a fresh watermelon and then go down to the river and eat it, if you like. Get your coffee to wake up in the morning, then get a pineapple for later in the afternoon. It'll be really simple to begin with, but as we grow and establish ourselves, then we can add more vendors.
Right, and Kernville really is a destination. It's one of the best outdoor locations that you can go to, especially on such a close range. Same thing, you're going to be able to stop by the Onyx family farm and the farmer's market there on the way, but as you're heading on 178, there's that turnoff to Kernville.
Right.
So it's maybe about another 10 miles as you drive up around the lake into Kernville. And that Big Blue Bear, if you don't know where it is, I think you just stop and ask anybody, because it's basically just 1 block back on that main park. I'm not sure what the name of the park is there, but right in the middle of town.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you're 2 blocks to walk down to the Kern River, where the river park is,
Mm-hmm.
or you can do other things in the community, even going up, if you want to go up higher up the Kern River, and there's a lot of areas up there to explore, or just we can open a Pandora's box of all the outdoor recreation
Right.
you can do up there. It's just a great launching point. And so really what you're looking at, it sounds like to me, if we're talking about Onyx and your opening in Kernville and your opening in Ridgecrest, is almost a regional approach to say, hey, let's get a healthy lifestyle in all these communities. So what is your philosophy behind that? Is there a philosophy that's kind of underlying all of these ideas and these projects you're working on?
Well, my personal philosophy is to eat healthy and to live a healthy life. And more specifically, that means eating plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables. I have some roosters that I'm going to be butchering, and I'll eat those as well. And I'm growing heirloom barleys so that I can have sprouted barley salads for my protein. I'll have a protein shake if I feel lazy and don't want to cook that day. And I have a little home gym, and I rarely touch it, but I'm doing so much physical labor. Generally, my injured back, it's a therapeutic experience.
Right. Well, to be honest, gardening and farming is probably the best physical activity that you can do. Even as you're getting older, you can continue to garden, continue to get out there, and it's quite a bit of work. Now, this didn't just start the last few years, right? What was your college education? Because I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, when I was here 6 months ago in December, I do have a Bachelor of Science from the University of California at Davis in agricultural systems. So I have the background academically to do this.
Right.
I was raised on a family farm, so I have that background. I've now been farming with my own hands up in Onyx and in Weldon for 4 years now.
Right. So, but just that decision to say I'm going to go get a degree at UC Davis in agriculture, to me sounds like it's becoming a lifetime commitment.
Yeah, I always knew that my life would involve plants in some way. And so now I grow a lot of them, and I sell the byproduct.
Right. And I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had Julie from Delacorte Ranch come down from the Lone Pine area. There's a lot of excitement going on there. And there's always these setbacks with these organizations. I had just seen, just real recently, I think the announcement was just yesterday or today, that they're putting in this co-op grocery store, and they had hired a general manager. And due to health reasons, medical reasons, he had to step down from that position. And so now, even though he's gotten everything just about ready to start, they're kind of scrambling to say, okay, how are we going to cover this? How are we going to get somebody else in there and get this this co-op grocery store opened up? Because I think they're targeting to open this next month or so. And that's going to be kind of terrifying and exciting, the same type of thing. As we go through this regionally, all of our communities, I'm going up there and seeing this, are trying to identify how we're going to eat healthy, how we're going to have locally grown food, and how we're going to organize ourselves to do that. And it's going through quite a bit of change. So it's interesting to see that. I just was out of town for a few days, and I look, And it's like, oh, he had to step down due to medical. Well, that's going to be a huge loss. And from the other posts that were on there, that's a big concern. But now, when I like that regional approach, because when you first start in a community, whether it's Kern Valley or Ridgecrest, you really want to have it locally emphasized. But you're trying to expand and say, let's take care of all these communities, is kind of a little bit of what I'm hearing. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I'm a farmer, and I'm operating as a farmer 3 farmers markets. That's my goal this year. And anybody that's a farmer or has a product that they sell that thinks it fits is welcome to come and talk to me.
All right, let's go ahead and hold that thought. We're going to get back to him right after this break. This is Paul Vender with Ridgecrest Talk, and we're going to be right back to talk about how to get a hold of Jake. And welcome back. Our last segment on Ridgecrest Talk tonight. Paul Vandorf, your host, with Jake Rudnick, coming down from Kern Valley to Ridgecrest, not just with the ideas and talking, but actually planning on bringing eggs into the community and also bringing fresh vegetables and produce. And so, Jake, we were just talking about that. Is you're the new farmer, you're the new guy on the block that wants to get involved, and you were mentioning just come and talk to you. How's that work? Is there anybody who's approaching you and trying to get information?
I have a small list of several people that want to vend at different locations, but you can contact me on the Facebook site, send me a private message, Ridgecrest Farmers Market, or Onyx Family Farms, or Onyx Farmers Market, or Kernville Farmers Market. They're really easy to find online. Or you can just stop by Onyx Family Farms Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, 9 to 6, and you can leave a personal message with who's over there.
Right, and that's the other part of it is if they're not interested yet, they may want to just go check it out. So you're saying it's the farmers market in Onyx right now is Thursday through Sunday?
Yes.
And people can go out there and check it out, but in the back of their mind, they might be thinking, hey, I might want to start growing certain plants or doing certain things, and they can start asking those questions as well.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a product that you make. You can be a reseller. Like if there's a cream or, I don't know, Avon or a lotion or aprons, anything home-based.
Right,
You know,
kind of the cottage industry, like
cottage, food.
canning foods. things
Yeah,
like
all that stuff. I have one vendor who sells knives that he makes himself with antlers and small leather products. That's all handmade in our region, and it's relevant to cooking because we all need knives to cook.
Right, and you think about it. I know we've talked about this locally I know I've talked about it for 30 years. Is we don't have that, not just the farmers market, but we don't have that like that local small vendor flea market type event. We do maybe a couple a year sometimes, special events like our Christmas event and things. But you're right, a farmer's market often will have the small vendor. I know Thursday night I was up at the Tehachapi Farmer's Market, and one guy started out last year by taking old wood and kind of building benches and different things for the kitchen out of wood. Mm-hmm. And then this year he's come back for his second year, but now he's got a friend that's kind of partnering with him, and they're kind of building more things. And so it's kind of neat. You're having your produce on the one booth, then you turn to the other booth and you have, like you were saying, custom-made knives. Or at the Tehachapi one, it was just all kinds of little knickknacks that you might have, like a little box for carrying your produce. You could buy a box there for $5 and instead of just taking a plastic bag.
Yeah, right now we're saving all of our chicken feed bags, and my mother and her friends will sew them all together so you can use them as shopping bags.
Right, I've seen that. Those are pretty durable bags, but they're typically single use. So that's a great repurposing instead of throwing those into the dump and causing more trash. Right. And so part of that education we were talking about is you're saying, we were kind of joking on break, when somebody figures out how much work it really is, they say, okay, I think I'll just buy the eggs and the produce because that's way too much work for what I'm interested in. And that's part of the challenge I think that we say for our young people is we want them to have that experience. We want them to go out and work hard and see what it's like to do something besides sitting on a video game. And you don't count those hours, but you need those hours to get to understand what it is that you're getting involved with. Are there any other up-and-comers that are out there that are trying new markets or new ideas out there? I know I saw one sign for a bee person. Is there some new bee activity out there?
I sell king bee honey as well as other honey, and he's a local guy from Lake Isabella. He's a big enough company that he sustains his family on honey. But he can't always be at a retail location selling to the customers, especially not 4 times a week.
Right.
He's just too busy to do that. I don't know of any other people in particular. I do have one student who's in 6th grade, and she comes to the farm about once a week with her mother, and we're doing a very loose internship on chickens because she wants to learn how to do chickens on a more commercial scale, but very holistically. And that's ultimately my goal, is not only to be a functioning farm and farmers market that makes me money that I can live on, but also provide internships for people in the Indian Wells Valley or in the Kern River Valley, so that students can spend their summer learning valuable skills, the value of $1, what hard work means, what it means to sweat, all those things.
Right. And we're probably a little bit younger, but I tend to remember when I was a kid, I was told that the reason we took the summer off was because historically we would be all out doing agricultural work during the summer. And a lot of us now, and maybe that's why some communities go to year-round school, because they're not doing that. But that's something that was historically in our communities where kids are losing that a little bit now.
That's what I understood the 180 days of the school year to be, is so that the children can help their parents who are in the farm to help harvest during the summer when the mass of produce is coming in.
Right. So for people to get a hold of you, it really is, Facebook seems to be what everybody's going to nowadays. And for the people who aren't on the internet, they need to get on the internet, get a Facebook account. And then once you get the Facebook account, you can just do a search for Kernville Farmers Market, Ridgecrest Farmers Market. And then you can send a message on there, which everybody can see, but you also said a private message, which is that little message button. You click on there, and then that message is like an email. It just goes to you, and nobody else sees that.
Right.
So you can ask questions that don't have to be aired or seen by everybody that's in that group.
And just getting a message to me in written form is so much better for me to respond than on a voicemail. That's why I don't give out my cell phone number, because I just wouldn't be able to get back to everybody.
Well, I think we're in that gray area where the kids all realize that they're just texting right and left,
Right.
because it's so much more efficient. Where I just remember not too long ago, voicemail was that new thing you had to check. Now it's kind of like we're too busy to do voicemail, because now when we get that text message, it's just so much quicker.
Yeah.
You see the text message and you can send it right back. So we know how to get a hold of you, and we're going to start seeing you here in town. And if we're interested in supporting you, whether it's being as a customer or as a vendor, we just need to get a hold of you and see how we can fit into that model.
Right.
Any last great words of wisdom to our audience tonight?
If you want to do it, just get out there and do it.
Just do it. I
it.
think I've heard that line from one of our big sports companies in the past, but just do it. That's right. That's how you're going to have to start that. I would say the hardest part to work out is to put your shoes on. You're sitting there at home, you just want to sit there and relax. You got to get those shoes on and get out there.
You got to
and with
start
that,
moving.
We're going to finish with Jake Rudnick. Come on out to the Farmers Market. This is Ridgecrest Talk with your host, Paul Van Werf. Have a great evening.